Good afternoon, everyone. Clint McLaughlin here with Midwest Market Management. Got Riley Sykart on with me here today. It is Thursday, July 24th. Yet another month slipping away from us, Riley. Corn pollination pretty well in full swing for most of the Midwest. I notice around here, Northeast Wisconsin, we're starting to shoot tassels. Some are have been tasseling. That tells me that the gut slot of the country is in full swing. Uh, More rain. Rain makes grain seems to be the theory, right?
Yeah, you and I were just talking about that. Ton of rain coming down, especially in important areas, Iowa, Illinois. And at what point does rain quit making grain and it starts creating issues?
I would venture to guess that there's a lot of that starting to happen. Like you had just mentioned, and I like that thought prospect and or process, and I'm very much on the same page. We spent a lot of years building these genetics to deal with hot and dry and to overcome that stressful situation. But would you say you've had 3 inches in the last 48 hours on
Yep.
top of already relatively saturated soil?
Yep. 3.3 inches in 48 hours. And I mean, there's no standing water out there, but I'd say especially on the disease side of things, it's not helping stuff out by any means. Then a door is starting to open up where issues could start coming through.
Yeah. Yeah, I know your headline or your fungicide and applications are getting tougher if you're doing it from the ground. And I'm hearing a lot of guys that are saying, no, we're not putting the money into it at these levels, which, is a decision that they get to make, but it does seem like a year where you would be pretty heavily pressured by that.
Yep, definitely. So,
well, what do we got weather-wise coming down the pipeline? Let me guess, rain?
You're a good guesser. It's almost like you've heard this story before.
Yeah.
Starting out here with temperatures 1 to 5 day. Everyone knew about it. Last week we rallied it. We knew the heat was coming. Last couple days it's been here. Here in central Iowa, I was helping out in a corn bin yesterday. Heat index, I think, was sitting around 110. So the heat was real. It was forecasted correctly. The 1 to 5 showing more of it. The big difference and why it's not still helping rally the market, moved to the 6 to 10 day, it's backing down. We're getting into the first, second days of August there, and already the heat's starting to back down and go away. The one troubles area you and I had talked about on Tuesday, Clint, Kansas, that's the one region that is retaining the heat. So interested to see if we hear any reports of issues in there. But for right now, heat backing away has scared the bulls out of helping out the grain markets. So that's what's going on the temperature side of things. Looking at the last 13 days of rainfall, excuse me, pretty simple. If you're not getting rain, then you just didn't do your rain dance well enough. So areas of South Dakota didn't do their rain dance well enough, and they only got about an inch. But everybody else, a lot of yellow on the screen, and it's not looking like it's going to be stopping. So I did want to point out drought monitor map. I don't know how many times we're sitting here on a map released on the 24th of July where there's this much white on the screen where we grow corn or soybeans or even wheat. We got regions of Nebraska that are dry, southwest South Dakota, northeastern Illinois, and Indiana has some troubled areas. Everything else is in the white. Well, on the drought side of things, I definitely say there's no drought concern. But like you and I mentioned before I pulled up the maps, Clint, at what point is the moisture going to be too much for the yield? And will that affect how the market trades it? Because the mentality's always been rain makes grain. I don't know if too much moisture and having that thought starts to creep into the market. But for us, Clint, I'd definitely say, talking to farmers and hearing what they got to say, it's definitely starting to cross that threshold. Sure. So moving in the 1-5 day, if you're in Iowa, Illinois, Ohio, or Indiana, you're getting more of the same rain in the forecast. Showing spottier stuff. How much of that will come, I don't know. Like we mentioned, this time of year, spotty rains can hit and miss. It seems like everything this year's been hitting, so we'll see if that's the case. Some rain in Kansas, which like we mentioned, they've had some pretty severe heat the last 2 to 3 weeks. If they can catch that rain, I'd definitely say that'd be beneficial for them. But other than that, South Dakota, Minnesota looking to dry up a little bit, and they're well watered right now. I don't think any of them are going to be belly aching and blasted for rain in the short term. So
it's
1 to 5.
interesting. Back up just a minute. You see Grand Rapids, Michigan, that lighter shaded area. That area was really strong in the drought monitor map as well. And I had some producers that were actually from here and over there over the weekend. They said it looked really, really rough in that region. Again, it's not a national yield driven area, but there is a lot of production agriculture that comes out of that region, and it's just like, why? I get there's rain everywhere except that little band right in there.
Well, I'm not trying to make a joke out of the guys in that situation because everybody's, I think, at some point or another been caught in that little window. But it just seems like this year, if you're not getting the rain, you just haven't done your rain dance well enough. Got to go outside and start squawking around. But it is tough if you're in those situations, though. I can't make too many jokes out of that because when the corn prices and bean prices are doing what it's doing and you're caught in that pickle, it can really stink.
Life's not very fun.
Yep. But moving on here, the 6 to 10 day shows Minnesota having a decent sell there on the southwestern side, some of that cutting into northern Iowa. Other than that, some spottier stuff in Nebraska and Ohio. For this time of year, I'd say having a lot of white on the maps, not unexpected. We are coming into
needed. Somewhat needed. Like for barring, probably Kansas and maybe Missouri, most of this area is probably be just as happy to see this come true.
Yep. And anybody with early planted beans, I'd say rains that have come in the last week have been what I would call an August rain to help them out. Anybody planting beans first, if they're getting rain right now, is doing exactly what they need to do weather-wise. So the later planted stuff, as we get more into August, they're going to be wanting to see some kind of rain on those beans. But other than that, I think the critical period for getting rain has been met and overmet.
Yeah.
So overall, 1 to 13 day forecast when you put it all together. State of Iowa getting hammered. Northern Illinois, which has been the driest areas, getting a solid amount of rain to help them out. Overall, everybody's got some green on the screen. Region there in Missouri a little bit drier, but 1 to 13's got rain for everybody, and temperatures are looking to back down as well. So definitely helping out farmers there. And like we've said many times, at what point is the rain's going to be too much, and will the market show any reaction? I don't have an answer to that one, Clint. But in terms of maps, that's all I have today.
Yeah, the problem with the market reaction is that the markets are very much about perception, and while the perception probably is shifting that they're not there, it's the fear, and we're past that. It's just really hard now to get any significant fear into the market. Fear moves markets, fear of the unknown. And, you and I were talking national yield. We've heard a lot of 184, 185, 186 is out there. It seemed like we were in a race to get to those levels. I personally am more in the 181 to 183 camp. I think that these rains will ultimately be the ceiling that keeps some areas from getting too high and reaching maximum potential. But I think that will be a problem that really won't be known until more Nov-Dec Jan, by the time it actually starts to come to light. So the fear that we're going to significantly alter national yield has been removed. And markets are very, very much about perception.
Yep, I agree. Especially, we look at last year, that January report dropped the national yield by so much. I'm not trying to be a future teller, but I wouldn't be shocked to see something similar to that. Maybe in this report here in August, they raise that national yield higher than it needs to go, and we just start backing it down each month from there.
That's a talking point there. It'll be interesting to see what USDA does. Do they, increase it significantly, and the August report's the highest number we see, or are they already on top of it? And maybe we get a little bit of a bullish surprise, or they come in at the 181 and the trade's thinking 184, and maybe the hedge funds begin to rethink their short positions, to the magnitude that they're at. So I don't know, time will tell.
One other thing in terms of a mindset structure reset, when we found out what acres were earlier this year in March, they let out that first guess at 95 point something million acres. Everybody and their mother said there's no way we could be talking trend line yields. And here we are, we're saying the low end of our yield guesses right now are at a 181 trend line. So crazy to see what a growing year can do when everything goes right and what people are talking about on yields. Record acres, nobody was thinking national yields of a trend line 181, and now we're all talking about it as a minimum. So kind of worth keeping in as a mindset thing when we're looking to.
And it happens more often than not, and not necessarily even at the national level. But yeah, I hear producers all the time that didn't get enough grain sold along the way. This year was a challenging year, but even on years when you do get the good rallies, didn't sell it because they didn't think they'd have it. And then at harvest, it's where'd all this corn come from? I just can't believe this corn did this, But again, those are a lot of times in dry years. So we'll see what we end up with this year, Riley. All right, appreciate everybody tuning in. Again, Clint McLaughlin, Riley Sidecard, Midwest Market Management. Thanks a lot. Have a great day.
This material has been prepared by a sales or trading employee or agent of Midwest Market Management and is in the nature of a solicitation. This material is not a research report prepared by of Midwest Market Management Research Department. By accepting this communication, you agree that you are an experienced user of the futures markets, capable of making independent trading decisions, and agree that you are not and will not rely solely on this communication in making trading decisions. Distribution in some jurisdictions may be prohibited or restricted by law. Persons in possession of this communication indirectly should inform themselves about and observe any such prohibition or restrictions. To the extent that you have received this communication indirectly and solicitations are prohibited in your jurisdiction without registration, the market commentary in this communication should not be considered a solicitation. The risk of loss in trading futures and/or options is substantial, and each investor and/or trader must consider whether this is a suitable investment. Past performance, whether actual or indicated by simulated historical tests of strategies, is not indicative of future results. Trading advice is based on information taken from trades and statistical services and other sources that of Midwest Market Management believes are reliable. We do not guarantee that such information is accurate or complete, and it should not be relied upon as such. Trading advice reflects our good faith judgment at a specific time and is subject to change without notice. There is no guarantee that the advice we give will result in profitable trades.